Hello besties, welcome or welcome back to my channel if you're new here. Hi, hello, my name is Chloe. I'm an artist living in Derbyshire and this is my small business page, ArteaFoxStudios, where I make and sell my art and stationery and all goodies like that. And today is a market day, so go grab yourself a little bevvy and let's head on over to Trentham Gardens because it's their Light Switch On event today and there's a massive Christmas market on. So let's go and head over and set up. It is about 12:20. It's about an hour-ish drive, hopefully. Fingers crossed there's no traffic. And then I think setup's from about 2-ish. So let's head on over. Okay, besties, so it's been a couple of days now and we are back in the studio. I have got my notes here, so let's go through how much we sold and what we made at this market. So this was the Trentham Gardens Light Switch On Festive Christmas Market event, and it was my first time ever at Trentham Gardens, both as a visitor and also as a market vendor. I do know that they do have a regular Saturday market, but I have never done it, so I really didn't know what to expect. It is the same people that did the Denby market earlier on this year that I did. I think I did it twice actually. So I'll link those vlogs down below in the description so you can go check those out too. So you can have a nosy, see how I did then. The table for this market was £55, which is kind of what drew me more to it, because that included your table and the gazebo, because obviously it's an outdoor market in the evening. So that's kind of what gravitated me towards it. This market has also been on my radar for a little while, just because they have a regular sort of Saturday market, and I've got a couple of mutuals that have done it that have absolutely glowed about it. So I really wanted to see for myself what it was like and whether or not it was suited for my business. And unfortunately, I don't think it is. I think it's not really my sort of demographic. Very similarly to the Denby market, the footfall was absolutely incredible, but it's just not my target audience, which is a little shame, but it is what it is. Obviously, some markets are going to be quite hit and miss. I set a target for £150 at this event, just because, like I said, I didn't know what to expect. And having done the Denby ones, I kind of went sort of averaged what I had made there, and then added a little bit on for Christmas and also for something to aim for. In terms of Christmas market, this is quite a cheap event, considering it's a Christmas market. They usually can get quite expensive, so I was quite excited to get into the festive spirit and to kick off my festive market season, and I'm so glad I did. The atmosphere was absolutely amazing at this event. The footfall, like I said, was fantastic. It was incredible. It was so busy. It's just a shame that they weren't really shopping as much. I did have a few people ask about business cards and ask like for my Instagram and stuff, so they can give me a follow, which is great, and I guess that's better than nothing. But the entire event, 4 till 9, we ended the event on 19 sales, and of that we sold 49 items in total. We sold 21 stickers, 8 sticker sheets, 6 mini stickers, 3 A6 notepads, 1 A5 notebook, 3 phone charm blind bags, 3 punch needle bag charms, 1 tote bag, 1 A6 print, and then lastly 2 badges that I found from my Christmas stock from last year. So they were reduced down to £1 each. So 49 items in total, not really amazing. We ended up taking £119 on card and 11 in cash, so that brings our total to £130. So we're not far off. We are just shy of the £150 target. It's a shame that we couldn't get to it, but oh well, it is what it is. So if we take out the table fee for £55 and then also the card processing fee, which was £1.99, we are left with £73 and a penny in total, which I'm going to say this a lot. It was disappointing for a Christmas market as well. It's such a letdown, but it's fine. It is what it is. Not every single market is going to be your target demographic, and I definitely encourage people to, before booking events, visit them as a customer first and see if it's kind of your vibe and see if it's suitable. I think that the location of Trentham Gardens is such a fantastic location for a makers market, but I don't think it is really great for my particular niche in stationery. I don't think there's a particular call for it. We had a lot of older folks and then also a lot of very young families, so they weren't really interested in anything, not even the stickers they were interested in. I think for like really young kids, there's no point having like expensive stickers or like nicer stickers, so it's fine. It is what it is. Onto the actual market itself, the vibes were incredible. There was live music on. It was kind of like split into two, so our half of the market at the garden centre end, we had a stage with I don't know if it was 1 or 2 people that were like live artists, but they were singing. It was incredible. The they didn't just do Christmas songs either, so we were able to actually sing along and join in, and it was like just regular everyday music. So if you work in retail, you know how annoying Christmas songs can get when you're hearing them over and over and over again. So I'm really grateful that the entire duration of the market wasn't just Christmas songs. And it was so cold, so it definitely needed that sort of cheery atmosphere, and everyone was in great moods. What did let the sort of market down a little bit in my books is the fact that they had multiple 3D printed fidget toy sort of stalls, and they were all identical, like branding wise identical, colours identical, like items identical. And I don't know, it just not great. There wasn't a lot of vetting process, I don't think, for like normally makers markets tend to limit how many things of each category you have, and they didn't really seem to do that too much with this one. So we had like a couple of those. We had like 5 or 6 like cake stalls on our half of the market, but they were all pretty much the same things. Like there was on just our row alone, because I was about like halfway, there was 2 cookie stalls that are like just a couple of stalls apart from each other, and they were identical in branding, identical in flavours, identical in how their stalls were set up. I don't know how customers are supposed to sort of pick and choose, and that's potentially why they weren't looking as much, because it just kind of all looked the same. There was another 2 tables at least that was, from what I could see, that was selling like AI printed stuff. There was 1 table directly in my eye line that had loads of Temu stuff that they were reselling, and none of the table was kind of cohesive. Like there was candles, there was like leather stuff, there was wooden signs, there was crochet bits, and not like the obviously handmade crochet bits. I'll insert a photo of the trees that I mean, like those kinds of like rainbow trees. I know crochet obviously has to be handmade. I know that a machine can't replicate that, but I also know that there is no way the volume that they had, because they had boxes and boxes filled to the brim of these pieces, that there's no way that they were able to sit and crochet all of them. I don't think it's humanly possible for one person to do. If you can, that's amazing, but the volume of what they had and like the rest of the items on the table just didn't make sense for one seller to have, because it was just like a random assortment. It was literally like they had just googled like trending items and just gone, yeah, that will do. So that's a little bit of a shame. In terms of lighting, it was great. I was really nervous actually, because obviously I've never done an outdoor evening market before, and I know it was supposed to be a light switch on, but I really was sort of assuming that they were going to like either provide like the little lights inside the gazebo, or I don't know, that there was going to be something like either street lights or I don't know, something. And they did have some like string bulb lights, you know, like the outdoor ones that you can buy. They did have those like wrapped around the gazebos and stuff, but there wasn't like a huge amount for how dark it was. And I'm kind of glad again that we were at garden centre end, because it was a lot brighter there because of the garden centre and because we were in a car park. From what I've heard, the other half of the market that was the other side of the shopping outlet and sort of more where the fun fair carousel area was, there wasn't a huge amount of lighting nor footfall. So we definitely got lucky. I do think there's a lot of pros and cons to this sort of layout and this market in particular. Don't think there was a huge amount of signage. We did have quite a lot of people when we were setting up asking, what's this for? Like, are you setting up for Saturday and all of this stuff? Like, are you packing down? Oh, like, we didn't realise there was a market tonight. Like, all of this stuff where they just actually had no clue. There was signs everywhere saying market this Saturday, because they have a regular Saturday market there, but it just didn't, there wasn't anything. And my parents did come up and made the journey. I think it was about an hour and a half for them in traffic after mum had finished work, to sort of give their moral support, which I really appreciated, because there was a couple of little things that had happened both as we were setting up and like throughout the evening that just didn't really sit right with me. And I've tried to remain positive about it, and I've debated mentioning it like at all, because it's just not, it's not great, and I don't want it to ruin the rest of the vibes that I have towards this market and ruin the rest of my Christmas market sort of season. But yeah, there was like a couple of little things that just didn't sit too well with me. I might talk about those in a second. But yeah, I ended up having to pack my camera away quite early because, like I said, we were in front of the garden centre, but we were literally just in a sectioned off portion of the car park. So we had quite a few people that didn't understand why they couldn't park where the vendors were parking, and they were quite like annoyed and kind of gave everyone sort of like attitude, like as they sort of did manage to park and obviously walk through. There's a lot of people around that didn't really seem to understand the concept of people setting up, and they just kept grabbing things. There was kids running around everywhere, insisting on touching everything and running off with it. So I didn't feel like I could keep an eye on the camera being out because there was just that many people that weren't vendors. Obviously the setup was vendor back to back with a vendor, and we had, during the setup, we had people walking through the middle of the gazebos, like between the vendors, which not great. I think this probably could have been rectified if there was someone around, or like at least a couple of people saying like, oh, like this is for a market, we're not open yet, like come back in a couple of hours, and it'll all be open, and actually stopping people from being able to do that. Because like, not that I think people would steal my stuff in particular, but like the jewelry people, like you never know really who's around, and because it is just in a public setting, anyone can do anything. Like there's no stopping anyone. So there was that, and then the sort of not so great experience I had was unfortunately with some other vendors, and I did experience some of this at the Denby markets that I did do earlier on this year, where obviously I think the vendors must all regularly do these markets together, and they obviously know each other. That's fine, there's nothing against that, but they do kind of have more of a sort of attitude around like outsiders. So we weren't treated the nicest that I think that we should as vendors treat each other with. There was no sort of like, it wasn't like oh, you're my direct competitor, because there was nothing that was kind of my niche and my sort of style or anything. But it was more so the fact that just off to the side they chose to go like, oh, the green haired one, and continue whispering, or the one that has all the frogs on their table, and just kind of made it really obvious they were talking about me, and sort of made it obvious that it wasn't nice things that they were saying about me. And I couldn't hear everything. I heard the word childish being thrown around, and like immature being thrown around, which again, I experienced this last year at one of my Christmas markets that I did. So it's nothing new. I'm well aware that I don't look like your stereotypical like 25, 26-year-old. I get it. It might not be professional in everyone's eyes, but I'm not going to change just for appeasing a certain few people who for some reason take offense to the fact that I want to have as much colour and much enjoyment out of using colours and dressing colourfully and everything. So it is what it is, but it wasn't too pleasant of an experience. So I am really glad that mum and dad did come and make the trek to give some moral support, even though it was like horrifically busy. So yeah, that was my experience at this light switch on event. It's not as fantastic as it could have gone, but the atmosphere, like I said, really has put me into the festive mood, and now I really can't wait for the rest of my Christmas market season. So it is what it is. Every market isn't always going to be like incredible, so just like a little reminder as well. But yeah, if you enjoyed the vlog, don't forget to drop a like, and subscribe if you want to see more Christmas market vlog stuff and behind the scenes making and creating and all of that good stuff. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.